All right, how we doing?
Hello.
It's been a while since we've done a review.
Yeah, that's
Usually,
sure.
oh, just knocking shit over. We were supposed to be joined by Melissa tonight, and that didn't happen. But instead, you and I decided to very impromptu go to the movies.
Yes.
And we saw
Sinners.
The newest movie from Ryan Coogler, who did move this like I don't know, it's all over the place. Ryan Coogler, who did obviously Black Panther. And Fruitville Station, stuff like that. Michael B. Jordan plays two characters in it, which you didn't realize.
My face blindness had the opposite effect today, where because his characters were wearing different colored hats, I literally interpreted his face differently.
You were explaining it on the ride back, and I was like...
Because the guy shows up, and he's like, what, you guys twins? And internally I was like, ha, I can tell the difference.
Yeah. But he does a great job. He does a really good job playing two characters.
But yeah, it slowly dawned on me throughout the movie, because they lose their hats, and I'm like, damn, that really just does look like Michael B. Jordan again, does it? And then the credits roll, and it lists him for both, and I'm like, oh my god.
But they're saying that's saying something about a performance that you would be like,
I thought he was different.
Because there's a movie that came out recently called Alto Nights, where Robert De Niro plays two characters, and I heard it's like really bad.
Oof.
This is great. This is basically From Dusk Till Dawn meets Black Snake Moan.
Yeah.
You ever seen that one before?
No? I haven't seen either of those.
Oh, okay. Well, that's right. You haven't seen, and it's funny because.
We talk about From Dusk Till Dawn.
We talked about From Dusk Till Dawn because one night when I used to live in Horsham, you showed me a music video, and I was like, "Oh, this is From Dusk Till Dawn," and you're like, "I don't know what that is." So I showed you the snake dance scene with Selma Hayek, and you're like, "Oh, that's From Dusk Till Dawn." What's the Rammstein song?
Engel.
Okay.
Which interestingly came on when we got in the car to go to the movie. It was just a very
when we thought that your car was like alerting us not to go down a road.
Yeah, because like it turned on in the middle of a whistle for something the whistling at the beginning turned on the latter end of a.
But I thought it was like your car telling us like we were going the wrong way.
I know. I was like, what is my car doing?
But so this is set in Prohibition America in is it Mississippi?
Yes.
Okay.
Because they say that once at the beginning because they're talking about
Chicago. Yeah.
Back down. Yes.
Yeah. So they're twin brothers, the Stack brothers, and Smokestack. Yep. And they return to where they're from in Mississippi, and they have all this money and people know who they are, and they're gonna open up a juke joint. And you and I both said the exact same thing. While this is a vampire movie, I kind of didn't want the vampire part to happen.
But like, I'm involved in like the beginning of the movie, and then like somewhere around, I guess when they finished rounding around, like, isn't this a vampire?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm actually just having a good time. And then, like, I'm sitting there because, like, there's the part of me that knows that would not be a good story. It's just them having a successful night opening the juke joint. And also, factually, that I knew this was a vampire movie. But then I was like, they're kind of just having a good time.
Yeah.
Like, I'm having a good... Like, I was fascinated by the way they interacted with each other, with other people.
Everyone... Because what was cool about, like... Everyone felt like a fleshed out character as soon as you met them. Yeah. You know, it was like... Because even when you meet the one guy who's the sharecropper. Yeah. And with his wife and stuff like that, they give them a little moment where you're like, okay, they feel like actual characters. Yeah. When you meet the Asian guy and his wife who owned the
his name is Bo. I don't remember.
Bo, yeah, I don't remember her name either. And then, what was her daughter's name? Was Lisa? Yeah. But when you meet them, you're like, okay, because at first I was like, is that girl Asian? Because I wasn't expecting that. In this movie, because it does seem like it was a black. But then I was like, oh, okay, these feel like fully formed characters. Then when
Lisa
you go,
doesn't even talk much. And
not at all.
You get her vibe from just watching her walk.
But it's also because of the familiar relations you get throughout the movie. Is when you do have those flashes to her, it feels like it's got a lot more weight to it. You know, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, like because this whole movie is about lineage, really. Yeah. That's the only thing I didn't like, and we talked about it on the way in, was the movie has an obvious studio note in the very beginning where preacher boy who's Sammy he shows up to the church in the very first scene, and he's holding the guitar, what's left of the guitar, and it's one of those like 24 hours ago type of scenes.
Yeah.
And I don't like that only because I feel like studios don't, they force the directors to do that because they don't feel like audiences are smart enough to understand the correlation between the two things.
You're saying it's less of like an artistic choice and more of like all right, let's just make sure they fucking get it.
Yeah, because it's a bunch of executives who don't, who go, like, people who come to the movies are fucking stupid.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they want, what did you eat?
I had a smash burger wrap.
I had chicken tacos that were fucking delicious.
Yeah.
And it's funny because,
really
so we went to a movie tavern, and I was the general manager of a movie tavern for a little bit of time before I came to take over this one, but I never ate there. I ate when we went and saw...
Honestly, I think you ate the one.
We had a burgers.
We were at the Exton one.
We went to the Exton one.
What did we see there?
Knock on the cabin door. Yeah. And I remember I had a burger there, but like the whole time I worked there, I never ate anything. And I was like, oh, I should probably try something. And I was like, these are fucking really good. Yeah.
Those pretzel bites, oh my god.
Yeah. That's why I was like, wait, you got pretzel bites too, you know?
Yeah, when we ordered, I was like, hey, I got pretzel bites for you to share. And then like 3/4 of the way through the movie, you're like, hey, can I have a pretzel bite?
Yeah, because I couldn't see well enough. But one complaint I had about the theater was the projector quality was not great.
Okay, that's fair.
It was way too dark in some parts to get what was obviously beautiful landscapes and beautiful shots. There's so much.
The cinematography.
Yeah, the cinematography in this is fantastic. This movie is very Southern American Gothic. I love that whole look to it, and just the shots of like the horizon and the cotton fields, and obviously the connotation that has as they're driving through that in this nice car, where knowing where they've come from and all that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of really, really cool symbolism in the movie, including the very end, which we'll get to. I really, really like the symbolism of that. So they return home to Mississippi, where they have a past. They're on the run. They can't really ever go where they want to go because of their father. Right. They ran away from home at a young age, and another woman who was her daughter's part black, part white, and it's the girl who was in. Her
character's name is Mary.
Mary. She was just in Minecraft, and she's the girl from Bumblebee, and she's the girl Hawkeye in the Marvel shows and stuff like that. But like she's really good, and she has a history with one of the brothers, and the other brother he lost a baby, and he had to leave the woman he was with, and she's Annie. She's very much into like voodoo, well hoodoo. Is not voodoo, because I have a very funny story about that. Okay. We shot there was going to be, the original version of Midnight Show was going to have all these fake, had all the fake trailers, but then it would have like the opening of a movie that they were there to see, and then the movie would burn. And then it would go back to the projectionist trying to frantically fix it by putting on more trailers. So we shot this thing that I wrote called The South Will Rise Again. Oh no. And it was about it was supposed to be like an early 70s blaxploitation movie where this black guy returns to the town where his family was slaves, and he's an author, and he buys this mansion. And he has a white girlfriend or a white wife, and the Klan basically uses black magic to raise zombie Klansmen. Oh, okay. So I wrote this whole thing. So we shot this whole opening with Justin and Penelope, and the redhead played his wife and all that kind of stuff in it. And then I had to go. I sent this girl Katie, who used to work with us, because she's a seamstress. Well, she used to be a seamstress. Now she does dog grooming. But I had to send her to go get the fabric to make the Klan outfits, and they're like, "You're not making Klan outfits, are you?" And I was like, "No, she's making scary, scary ghosts." Oh my god! But we had the actor Lamar, who plays the black guy. He's a martial arts guy. If you ever saw the Paperboy trailer, he's the dude in the luchador mask. Oh. Okay. And he used to be in a lot of my stuff, and. So he's Penelope's character is playing the fortune teller, and she's giving you the exposition. He slams his fist on the desk. He's like, "Enough of this hoodoo, woman!" And he kept saying voodoo, and I'm like, "No, it's not voodoo. It's hoodoo." Because he just kept doing it, and I said, "Fine, say hoodoo." As soon as I said hoodoo and I call action, he says voodoo, and I was like, "Fuck it, I don't care." Fuck it. Whatever. It stays in. Fuck it, we're doing it live. Yep. But yeah, so they return home, and they get their cousin, who's the son of a preacher man. Yes. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Oh, yes, he was. It's the song.
Yes, I figured.
And he plays the blues, but his father's telling him, like, you know, you got to put the guitar down and give your life to the Lord. And then they go get Delroy Lindo's character, who's an alcoholic, who's another great blues guy. I thought he was great. He was fantastic. He's always good in stuff. Yeah. Delroy Lindo. And I liked his whole backstory, too, because he knew all the guys on the chain gang as they were driving. And he tells his whole story. And his story is kind of a microcosm of the whole thing. Because of his talent and because of his, you know, his mojo, he got some money in his pocket and got away. Well, he drank his to death. You know, and then the other guy, who was going to invest it and all that kind of stuff and do the right thing, white people just took it from him. And they said that he stole it. So that's kind of what the whole idea of this movie was, is that, you know, even because when the vampire says, like, it's built on a lie. Everything is built on a lie. They would have, they say the vampires didn't show up.
Right.
Eventually the Klan was going to come for them or something like that.
That was because that's the guy who sold them the land, the mill and all that. He was, I thought they called him the Grand Dragon, but I thought it was Grand Wizard. Either way, the head.
Dragon above Wizard? I don't know enough about.
I was gonna say,
I don't know enough about American hate groups. Like,
it's like I just remember
we were eating the other day, and they DoorDashed food, and I was like, "Oh, what'd you guys get?" And they're like, "Oh, we got Chick-fil-A." I was like, "I don't like their food, but I love their politics."
Oh my god.
But yeah, so they
yes. Oh yeah, sorry. That was the whole like thing was the Irish vampire. He was like. That guy, you know, he was going because, of course, you know, he was like, the Klan's not a thing anymore, which immediately hit me weird because I was like, it's 2025 and the Klan's still a thing, like,
so
you know what I mean?
I'm not gonna say where it is, but in South Jersey, a theater that I used to run, the town hall had a little thing for because it was like an epicenter for the Klan in South Jersey, which is weird to think.
Right, Jersey of all places.
Yeah, you know. Because, you know, but yeah, they seemed kind of proud of their history of the Klan, and that was kind of gross.
But yeah, so that hit me weird. But I was like, "Are you sure about that?" Bro?
Yeah.
And then you know, I felt a little smart later when you know, the Irish vampire was like, see, he's actually, you know, the Grand Dragon. He's gonna like come and kill.
And it was kind of by sheer happenstance that the house that the vampire wound up at was their family, which I thought was really cool. I like how he was burning, so it was just like random circumstances brought all of these things together.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of like there was like a serendipitous undertone to the whole thing.
As if it was like, again, like one of those blues songs. It was like all of these things have to happen in order for them to feel what they feel, and you know. But you said you'd never seen Black Snake Moan?
No.
Oh, all right, interesting. Black Snake Moan is Samuel L. Jackson, Christina Ricci, Justin Timberlake. She's like this girl who has like she gets like tremors and like she's got like issues and she'll just have sex with like anybody because she has like issues, you know, from her past and stuff like that. And she winds up getting like Justin Timberlake goes to like he's in like gets sent to Iraq or something like that, and his best friend winds up like trying to rape her and then beat her up, and Samuel L. Jackson's this old blues guy. He finds her and he chains her to his radiator.
Okay.
Because then she can't wander and like get into trouble and stuff like that. And it's a great movie. It's fucking great. So the guy who did Hustle and Flow, you ever see Hustle and Flow? All right. It's hard out here for a pimp. That's another fucking great movie too, man. That's a awesome movie. And then he did he remade Footloose, which I never saw.
Oh.
Yeah.
I saw a version of Footloose.
You saw the one with Kevin Bacon probably.
Probably.
With the town outlaws dance.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm totally loose. But yeah, no. So that's the blues aspect of it mixed with the From Dusk Till Dawn aspect of it, because it is the same thing. It's you're a good portion into the movie before you go, oh yeah, there's vampires in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. Oh no, where was I going with that? Hold on, there was a thought, and then it just. Oh my god. Wow, there was something there. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Come back.
No, yeah, I mean, just so like right up to off the bat, Brian Coogler I think is an amazing director. I loved what he did with Black Panther, obviously, and he did something else recently that I was like, that's really well done. And it's cool that he owns a percentage of this, which is wild because
Oh.
Warner Brothers like never does that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So the cinematography was incredible.
Yeah.
The music was incredible.
The music.
I loved that the whole movie felt like it had a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Like everything was kind of ticking in time.
I mean, it even had it in such like there was like a subtle moment of her like lighting the candle.
Yeah.
When we first meet Annie, and I'm like, oh, it's the time of the music.
Yep.
It's like-
And I like what you said. They went and they played music for the white people,
Yeah.
and they let them get like where they thought.
Oh yeah,
they
were
rhythm,
almost on.
and then
rhythm,
they changed it.
Yeah. Oh my God, the music. The music.
We'll get to that scene because
Okay,
that was an incredibly.
But even outside of that scene,
Yeah.
the music was phenomenal. Just absolutely like.
Mhm.
I don't know. It just like got inside my body.
Yeah, no, and that's what was so cool about it was that like again every frame felt so alive, and I like even like the biblical stuff. Like the very first thing we have is the snake. You know what I mean? It's just like it's got that the religious connotation to it. But yeah, so they kind of recruit their little team of people. You know, they've got the girl to paint, they've got the Annie to cook. You know, and then we meet kind of some ancillary characters, like we meet Mary, who she has a past with, and then there's the other girl. What was the other girl's name? The one who didn't.
Oh my God, Perline, because
Yes,
that's what
Perline.
the name of the thing was at the end. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Oh, and even duh. See, shows how much I pay attention.
It was zooming out. I was like, oh, that's the girl's name.
That's cool. Yeah, she's married. But you know, obviously, you know, she and the preacher boy, you know, he licked that button.
Yeah, I was gonna say he knows.
I like when he says to the Asian lady's like, listen to my cousin. Like,
yeah, right. She's like, okay.
But yeah, so they put everybody together. They got their other friend, Cornbread, who like I've seen that dude in other stuff.
I definitely have.
Yeah, like I don't know what he was in, but I've seen him in other things. And they kind of put together their whole thing, and you know.
Yeah, because they get Slim, they pick him up somewhere. They get Cornbread. Who else do they? Annie.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, but there's also a thing going on there where, you know, you had the wooden nickels, you had like the way that the money was going at that point.
Oh yeah, because they had obviously they're flashing their money around, you know, that they got from up in Chicago,
which is a cool. Well, we find out that was because they came from Chicago at the time of Al Capone, and it turns out that the brothers stole from the Italians and the Irish, and then pitted the Italians and the Irish against each other, which would lead to the St. Valentine's Day massacre. You know, but you were saying like, oh, it's cool the way they.
Oh yeah, they did have that like so the history that was like referenced felt very natural, felt very organic. I don't know how to explain the difference between that and like another time where it felt like there's a name drop.
They never stopped the story.
Right, it was always like just a quick comment that wasn't supposed to be like, oh my God, they said Al Capone.
But that shows how big and bad they were too, because again, he was
true.
public enemy number one.
Yeah,
he was the most wanted man. You know, the Untouchables were put together, and they couldn't get him on any racketeering. They got him on tax evasion.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
So, but yeah, they have the reference to like the Irish and the Italians being enslaved as well, and like buffering, like marginalized people as well. Obviously, it doesn't like it's just reference.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, that's also happening.
But it goes
without it like taking.
It goes with the familiar aspect of it too, because even when the vampires like. We can be all one people.
Right.
Yes, the Irish were slaves in their own way, and Africans were slaves in their own way.
Yeah.
And all this kind of stuff. But it's like we can put it past that and just be one people, but that one people would be vampires. You know?
Yeah, that was a whole other thing too. But it was interesting. They had that because he was using. I mean, this is much later in the movie. Yeah, the Irish vampires like referencing that to be like, hey, you know. Hey, I get it, man.
Yeah,
you know, and it's like,
I
but
don't
you're a
think
vampire,
they do.
man. That's what you're trying to. You're bringing up in this familiarity and this like, this shared pain but it's with ulterior motives.
But it goes with the name of the movie. It's Sinners. Is we're all original sin.
Yeah.
And the reason that it's able to speak to us like that is the snake, is the the apple, the Garden of Eden, all that kind of stuff. It's the idea that why we would do these things. Is because of these things that have been done to us in the past, and the reason. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say each character does face their own temptation that is like specific to them. Because it's interesting, because like your first thing with the vampires is their like you have their insistence on being let in.
Yeah.
Which I really liked how much they did with that, because I feel like that's kind of an underrated like vampire feature. Is like I feel like I don't.
Did you ever see Let the Right Ones In?
No.
It was a Norwegian movie, I believe.
Okay, I may have heard of it.
And they made an American version, which I thought the American version was good.
Okay.
But it's basically about this weird bullied kid who lives in like this housing project, and on the other side of his wall is what you think is a little girl, but it turns out that in the story you find out that it's a castrated boy that's been living as a girl.
Okay,
But it's much older, and it has to have an older man as its familiar, because at some point he has to go out and murder people to bring it back, for something for it to eat. And they do that whole thing about, it's basically like let the right ones into your life, but also let the right ones in. But it's got this great scene at the end of the movie where the bullies that like fuck with him constantly, he's in the swimming pool at the school, and the bullies are holding his head underwater and he's drowning, and you don't see what happened. You only see from underwater something is going on above it, and you hear screaming and stuff like that, and then you just start seeing blood and body parts falling into the water.
Cool.
And when he comes up, you just see her feet all bloody, and she saved him.
Oh, that's so cool.
But it's cool, but then he's going to become her familiar, and he's going to have the exact same life.
Oh, that's true.
So it's just this, parasitic relationship, basically. But I liked what they were able to do with this one, with the idea of inviting them in, and then what eventually does let them in is really cool.
Yeah, I was getting to that.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry. Yeah.
Yes, I feel like that's an aside from apparently that movie, an underutilized thing, but also I liked that they had to be persistent.
Yes.
You think about I don't know, I just feel like I haven't seen that, really. Again, I haven't seen that movie, so maybe it's in that. But it was really cool to see that, they aren't just like, hey, can you let me in? No? Alright, fuck, we'll figure something else out. They're, really persistent.
Because she's like, you've been coming in and out of here all day.
Right.
And he's like, oh, well, and then he starts playing on the whole, southern charm of,
exactly.
we just all have to be nice to each other. And it's like, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And I like how they're kind of speaking to each other on that level where there are touching, because all the vampires have a Borg mind, basically, where they know the secrets of their loved ones and stuff like that. And I thought that was a really cool way of doing that, so...
Exactly. Oh my god, where was I going with that? It's, just the persistence there was interesting to me. Where was I going with that? I'm not sure, but you keep interrupting me, and then I lose my train of thought. It's fine. No, it's
okay.
Fine.
I see how it is.
But right, because that loops back to the temptation thing where they each have their own personal temptation.
Yeah.
They get Stack, so they have smoke. They have something for smoke.
Yeah.
They get Bo, so they have something for the Chinese lady. They get, each of them has a thing, and it's really only through Annie's, knowledge that they're able to even... Because they almost break Smoke. They have to close... The rest of the cast literally has to close the door and pull him inside. Because he's, about to go for it.
Because his brother is all he has. And they made each other a promise, Exactly. And I just think that's really cool. That's, again, it's playing on the idea of the familiarity. It's playing on the idea of original sin. It's playing on the idea of temptation and all those things. And again, the movie's called Sinners. We're all sinners in our own way.
Exactly.
Not me though. I'm perfect.
It's also cool because they go through all of the tempting everybody. When the lady finally breaks, you aren't like, oh my god, you're fucking stupid. Yeah. It's like, oh no,
but I get it.
Get it. Yeah.
Because they're like, we're gonna go get your daughter now.
Right. Exactly.
And if they have to stay inside, they can't control what's going on out there. Right. The Irish vampire turns these two random people. You think are two random people, and then they show up at the juke joint, and they want to be let in. They're like, well, we're just here to play music and stuff like that. And they're not even like, these people are creepy. They're like, these people could be connected to the clan, so we can't let them in.
That's the initial the initial hey, I don't know about you guys should probably skedaddle.
But then they realize that their money is going to run out, and so they send Mary outside to figure out who they are.
Well, that's the other thing. They don't send her outside. She actually, and I didn't know if it was on purpose or not, but she is the one who is well, maybe we should trust them. And I don't know if this is my own internet knowledge.
That's tied into vampire lore as well. You need to go willingly into their domain. Yeah.
Right. I don't know if this is tied into like my internet brain or not, but the constant joke of like, you know, with horror movies, because you see this in parody movies as well, but like with horror movies, it's like the people are always like, oh no, if this was like a black cast, they would just note the fuck out, you know.
They made a whole movie called Nope. You know,
I haven't seen that, but I want to.
Yeah.
I've heard so many good things, but yeah. So I was like, I don't know if that was like an intentional thing where like, you know, it does start initially. The reason the vampires have to get so like, you know, so persistent is they're like everyone's like, nah, fuck you guys,
yeah,
creepy as hell, get out. Even without realizing the vampires are like, nope, whatever this is, no, I don't want any part of that. But then eventually, yeah, it's Mary, you know, getting turned and then coming back in that that's their in, right? Which, and that makes sense because, you know, she obviously is trusted, but I don't remember where I was going with that. But
that's right. When it comes to the most impressive scene in the movie.
Oh my god.
So this movie starts with these kind of cool little narration about how throughout time, throughout different cultures, whatever, certain people have a power in them with music, and it connects all people and it frees people, but because it has that power to heal, there is always something on the outside that wants that.
Yeah. So
you get to the juke joint and you have you know, they call Sammy up to play for the first time, and it goes into this again. So I went into it thinking, oh, it's gonna be a cool vampire movie. Not realizing it was going to be the coolest musical that I've seen this year.
It was that, oh my god, that scene, I was mesmerized.
Yeah, me too.
It was, because, you know, he starts singing, first of all, his voice.
Yeah.
Oh my god. And then, like, you know, it starts going into, like, I can't remember if it's the lyrics or narration or what. Like it's just
it's
hit
the
me.
lyrics first.
Yeah. Well, I meant when they start talking about like the past
cutaways.
And all that. Yeah. And as he's like going around the room and everybody in that moment is dancing, it's showing like, you know, more tribal like African performance, and like then they have more like modern, like someone with an electric guitar. They have like some like rappers going, like, you know, girls twerking and whatnot.
Yeah,
like,
breakdancing.
It was just, but it just flowed together. So like it. I don't know how to explain it. Because it was, but like in the music fits everything that's happening, and it's like it isn't just his like, you know, I guess acoustic guitar. And his voice, it's also like it has notes of other things, and where it all is just flowing.
And as they move, as the camera moves closer to it, that thing gets louder.
Exactly.
And it even goes into like, you know, you have like there's obviously like, you know, Mexican, like Aztec, and then there's Chinese.
Oh, yeah.
Or, you know, whatever.
When the camera followed the Chinese lady at one point, and her husband start dancing, and you know they've got a traditional Chinese dance.
It was just so cool the way that it's all one, kind of like the hive mind in the vampires, music and our ability to, you know, to be moved by art basically, and that's our, you know, like you were saying in the way here, it's like there wouldn't be heavy metal if it wasn't for blues music.
Exactly.
You know?
I was gonna say, as a metalhead particularly, I was like, oh my god, because like I know that's very much like the origin of all that. It's like, you know, it goes back to the blues, and I just, oh my god, sorry, I really like music history. I don't go into it as much as I should, but that scene was just captivating, both like, you know, cinematography wise, soundtrack wise, because like you were saying, the piece is getting louder, and then like also just knowledge and wise, I was just absolutely.
But somebody was saying to me, they're like, because somebody spoiled that scene for me. They're like, oh my god, you're gonna hate it.
Oh yeah, you did.
And I was like, and I was in my head, I'm trying to figure out like,
why would I hate that?
Well, I was trying to like in my head, I'm trying to picture what they were explaining to me, and what they explained to me was not at all what I saw.
Happened? Yeah.
You know, because they're like, like all of a sudden the dude's playing like, you know, B.B. King style song, and then next thing you know, like, you know, Bootsy Collins is there, and the next thing you know, there's girls twerking, and I was like, wait, what? Like how does that thing fit together? And then you see it, and you're like, oh well, no, that fits together perfectly. And even later on when you have the Irish one that's going on outside, because everyone. The one brother gets killed. Obviously, he gets killed by the vampire that came in, and they're having sex, and she bites him and kills him. And everyone they kick everybody out.
Yeah.
And everyone who they kicked out gets turned.
Yeah. which is everybody.
Yes,
except for
everybody.
like 5 people.
Except for that, and then the one poor guy wasn't
Oh
bitten.
no!
The one guy got slashed across the face in the card game.
Yeah.
And they thought that he was bitten too, so they took him outside. And it turns out he was just unconscious because he lost so much blood.
Well,
then,
I think they were saying that wasn't even blood underneath it.
It was the Italian wine.
Yeah, they're like, yeah. And then, oh my god.
Yeah, and they let him get killed.
Well, yeah, they come out to get him, and then as they're coming to get him, Cornbread's already been turned. He just grabbed him. It's like, oh, well, okay then.
And then just how casual the Asian guy is about it.
Yeah.
And he's just like, well, the car's all warmed up. He's like, we just go.
No.
He's like, he's just hungry.
Not if you're like that. Oh my
and like
god.
the one dude's like, I think I just shit myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, like again, and it was funny without being like Marvel movie where it undercuts the moment. It's more like impulsive in that kind of.
It was like natural situational humor where it was like it's not like there was no wink at the camera. It was just like, yeah, someone would say that and that's fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
especially somebody like him who's been around. Because he even says he's like, I faced the devil a bunch of times.
Right.
And you tell from that guy from the blues that he's playing that he does know what that's like.
Right.
So yeah, there's just so many fucking cool things about this movie. I love just the simplicity of the red in their eyes and the vampires and stuff like that.
Yeah, didn't go overboard with that.
Yeah, because they could have gone like I could imagine in a different filmmaker having that, and at the end they would look like the vampires in From Dusk Till Dawn. Like they would look like bat humans.
Yeah, the most ridiculous, like I don't want to say ridiculous, the most like non-human thing we see is the Irish vampire with the claws.
And the jumping and coming down and stuff like that.
But even that's like a background thing.
Yeah.
Like you see it happen, but it's not like it's like you're more focused on it being an unfortunate thing because Sammy's about to escape.
Yeah.
It's not like, wow, look at how amazing and like vampire-y this vampire is.
They
It's
didn't
just
Morbius at any point.
Yeah.
They weren't morbing.
It was more just like, fuck.
Yeah.
You know? So,
Because
yeah.
I liked every character.
Yeah.
Which is rare,
Even the vampires, honestly.
Yeah, no, and they were tempting, but you kind of see where they're coming from.
Yeah.
But they also didn't, like, play it up to the point where, like, they weren't the 30 Days of Night vampires that were just, like, bland, too animalistic, and they also weren't, like, hamming it up, like, lately, not Liam Neeson, Leslie Nielsen and Dracula Dead and Loving It or anything like that, There's a really, really well managed, tightrope that they walk with that. And then the fact that because Annie is so into hoodoo and stuff like that, that she's like, these aren't hates. They're not demons, they're vampires, And just the idea of just going with that at that point, where it's like, all right, well, we need to make crosses and we need to,
But and that had a natural progression to it too, where at first they're not, they're like, oh, this is kind of odd, and then, but it really hits when she's like, because she doesn't imply that it could be anything supernatural until you see Mary get shot like 16 times and then get up and run away. There's no discussion of vampires prior to that. Like, obviously you see the vampire, but like character-wise, it's not like she's like, I'm sensing evil tonight. It's very much like, hey, I don't know what the fuck else that could be. She just got up and ran. You shot her several times. What do you want from me? And then figuring out it's vampires because of the inability to come in.
And then with his brother too coming back in the other room and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that, again,
by the time she says it, you're like,
of course it's vampires.
Not even because you're watching vampires, just because you're like, well, yeah. Well, what else? What else is that?
And that works in the natural progression of the story. Is it like with the historical stuff you're talking about? Everything feels organic. Yeah. And because the movie has a heartbeat, you're just able to follow it, and not at any point. Like I said, the only time it felt out of place was that opening scene. And other than that, like, because even like you go to the point where you're gonna have a fucking movie set in the 1930s, then all of a sudden there's a dude with an electric guitar and a girl twerking. Like, because,
you're like, of course.
Because we understand the progression of this story and the tapestry that it's weaving, that it never felt out of place. I always tell people, like Ghostbusters, like, because you follow these people and you believe the world that they're in, that you'll accept 100-foot marshmallow man. Right, exactly. It earned that right. Exactly. And that's what this movie did. And again, the only thing I could say is the projector was too fucking dark. I felt like we missed a lot of really cool shadowy imagery because the projector wasn't dark enough, or wasn't bright enough to project the darkness, or because of it's a movie tavern, there's too much light in there. That would be my only real drawback, and it's not the movie's fault,
right?
You know. But yeah, and then you get your standard vampire stuff, you know, as they're fighting them off and stuff like that. I like
blood effects were interesting.
Yeah,
they were very wet.
Yes,
that sounds obvious. They were just very like the blood was very. There was a lot of it, but it wasn't like
coagulated. It was
it was very runny, but also like it's not like I would be like, oh, this movie's super gory. That's something I like.
Yeah.
It wasn't gory, but there was like way more blood coming out of what wounds there were than I was expecting.
But also, I felt like because the blood was dark, it also kind of felt like maybe,
I thought it was like bright red.
Not in certain parts. Like it felt kind of like it almost felt like it was earthy to a degree.
Okay.
Like there was like when Annie died. Her blood felt very much like, because she's a mother, you know, like she says to him, like, I felt like maybe she was like, that was part of like the swamp and the soil and that kind of stuff, like it could have had that kind of vibe to it. But yeah, I don't know, I genuinely really enjoyed this, and I heard a lot of people just tell me that it was mid, which is apparently something that people say now.
I mean, I knew that, but like, what? Oh my god, no, it's just, this is so beautifully woven, I can't. And it felt like, again, I go back to like the feeling that I was cool with it never turning into a vampire movie. Like it just felt comfortable.
Yeah.
In a way where I was just like, we're just here. We're like, I don't know if my mouth just said sorry. I was like deeply interested in each like character and how they interacted with each other, and
just enough of the little things that you give them. I want to know more about them.
Right.
Like how did they know cornbread? Like, how did they get connected with cornbread? Like, you know what I mean?
You know?
I want to know more about Mary's mother, you know? Because they tell you that her mother just died. And they just buried her. And I was like, and they're like, we sent her flowers her whole life, you know, not after she was dead. And I was just like, yeah, there's a lot of really cool world building here that you just get in little conversations, whereas in a lot of movies handled by someone else, the movie would have to stop dead to give you the exposition.
We get the funeral instead of her just being like, "Yep, just came from my mom's funeral."
Yeah, because I thought that's when he went to that grave. I thought that's where he was going.
Yeah.
And then he's like, his Papa was here or something like that.
Oh yeah, he said, yeah, Papa's here.
And I was just like, okay, I get what's going on.
Yeah, because I was like, why is the hand so small if that's the mother's grave? And then he said that. I was like, oh, that makes more sense. But
also, I like that they gave him a woman who was like shaped like a real woman.
Oh my god, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Gorgeous.
Like, but it was just like, she wasn't like thin model type. Well, I was like, oh yeah, she looks like a woman who would live at that time, and you know. And everybody felt very lived in, which I thought was really, really cool. All
of that, I'm sure, lending the organic feel to the movie.
And then when you have, you know, the Irish vampires who turned everyone else into vampires, then you have the outside version where they're all circling around him, and he's doing like this Irish song.
Oh yeah, I liked his the Irish jig.
Dance, But they go into the whole thing too. It's like, the Irish were slaves at one point as well, you know?
Which is also cool because we got to see both, like, cultures, for lack of a better word, you know? Because he was good at the jig, you know? And it was like, oh, that's so interesting that it prioritized, like, for me at least, because again, I really like the music in general and all that. It's cool to me that, like, one culture will emphasize like fluidity and motion, but then like, you know, with the Irish, like it's captivating in how stilted, you know, that dance is.
Yeah, but again, it's that idea that even that music will have a progression into our modern music as well. You know, we wouldn't have U2. But it was cool, and then the way that, like, you know, you did have like the African American people who were out there were moving like them as well, because they were all part of that one cute tapestry. And I was like, oh, this is really, really well done. Like, again, yes, you could look at this movie on its surface and go, okay, it's a siege movie. It's I mean, you know, it's Assault on Precinct 13. It's Night of the Living Dead. It's you know, it's again, From Dusk Till Dawn. But it was done in such an interesting way, and in a time period that you don't see very often, and especially not from the black perspective.
Gonna say, that's true. I was even gonna also say, like, when I do see that time period, it's like it's not a vampire movie. Like it'll be like a serious historical
like a
thing.
gangster movie.
That's
you know,
true.
you'll
Yeah,
see
yeah,
something
yeah.
like
You'll
The
see some
Untouchables,
gangster stuff.
or
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know. So yeah, you
But
don't.
So I just liked that. But again, even with that being so out of place for what I'm used to seeing with that setting, it's like no, that felt supernatural and organic.
And at no point was I ever like, you know, at no point was the movie ever pushing an agenda. You know, because I've seen also people who are like, oh god, it's a woke movie.
Well, it's
and I'm
because
just,
if they see a black person,
yes,
they're like...
I know, right? I know. God forbid they exist. But yeah, and he even says it. He's like, you know, white people, they love our music, they just don't like us. You know, and I've heard, I've dated 2 black girls in my life for long periods of time, and their fathers said the exact same thing. You know, and I was like, I look, man. My family was poor as shit, so you know we weren't enslaved people. Well, I'm Irish and Italian and stuff like that, and you know, but
that's different. You know, I mean, yeah, because I was thinking about that a little bit, where I was like, yeah, like none of my family was here at that point. In that setting, I was like, no, we were still over in Italy and Ukraine. You know,
the funny thing I found out about my family was, whoever the first of the Wallens that came over here only came because he stole a dude's horse and the horse died. And so he blamed another dude and they killed that dude. So he came to America to get the fuck out of there. I think he also plagiarized. I'm just following the family tradition. But yeah, no, it's just that's I found that out about my family through my grandmother before she passed away. But we're mutts. You name it, we fucking got it, man. Like I've got a little bit of everything in me. And I also liked how one of the cool things I thought, and I wish they would have brought them back, was that he blamed the Native Americans.
Oh yeah. Well, hold on, because that was interesting. You're right. I was hoping that would come back because the Native Americans did come back. Like they were looking for him. But that's also interesting because that foreshadows the connection of it being vampires. Because obviously he shows up and he's like burning, right? Yeah. And then he's like, the Native Americans are hunting me or whatever, and they let him in. But then they do actually show up, but they're not hunting him like in a white person, Native American.
Yeah, they're hunting him because he's a fucking vampire. Because they're connected like with the hoodoo and stuff like that. Yeah. The natives are far more connected.
That's where my brain went back. But it was just super interesting because he's like, I hope you didn't let him into your home.
Yeah, and he's like,
they're like, yeah, no, why would we do that? We've never seen. I don't know. There's no man here. And he's like, well, God have mercy on your souls or whatever. And I'm like, all right, cool. He's like, that's not my fucking problem.
Exactly.
Which is fair. That's when it's not. But
I wish that, I kind of wish they would have come back at some point because again, but that's another thread.
Also, what would you do with that? How
I guess they could show up at the end to give some kind of exposition and some kind of like. But I guess you really,
that would almost feel.
Yeah, but you almost needed them to go through what they went through to get to where they had to get to lead up to that final temptation, which is in 1992. Which I thought was really cool.
Yeah. Oh my god, that was great. Yeah.
And I like that he was dressed like he was on the Cosby spinoff, A Different World. Like he looked like the boyfriend on A Different World.
Okay.
But yeah, so you just you have your normal. There's nothing normal about it. Siege movie, but I don't know. I was super impressed by this movie. Yeah. I definitely need to see it again. Because I feel like there's a lot of shit that I missed, probably.
Okay,
Because I was so caught up in the cinematography and the score and even the acting choices and stuff like that. Again, to have Michael B. Jordan playing 2 characters and at no point for me to ever...
2 characters.
Yeah, but at no point did I ever feel like, oh, this is like Eddie Murphy playing the clumps.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. I really dug this movie, and I
mean, it's definitely the with you being like everyone says Siege movies for Dust on whatever. That is the epitome of the writing advice, which I've been keeping in my mind a lot recently as someone trying to build my like wrestling character and like storylines and whatnot. It's like it's not the cliche. It's how you tell it. Because obviously you avoid cliches for a good reason. But if you can do something with it, that makes it where, like, you know, that's where it, like, that cliches are a thing for a reason to some degree. Again, yeah, you can use
there's
it,
only
you can
so
make
many
it work
there's
for
only
you.
so many relatable stories throughout human history. And then it's everything from that point is a twist on that story. Picasso said, if there's something to steal, I'm going to steal it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So, like, I feel like everyone being like, oh, this is just a Siege movie, or this is, like, just From Dusk Till Dawn, or whatever. It's like, sure, it shares things with that, but this, I would say, you know, this movie very much stands on its own. It's how they told this story.
Because From Dusk Till Dawn has its own, like, it's Assault on Precinct 13, but with vampires, you know? And, but that whole idea of just, it's about how you tell it.
Yeah.
You know, and I like that you have an original voice like a Ryan Coogler telling this story in a way that, like I said, another filmmaker get their hands on this and it would become schlocky, you know, like, again, like that scene with the beautiful...
Like I'm saying, like the wink at the camera.
Yeah, but it's just that beautiful musical scene.
God,
If you were to do that, I think if another director would have done that, which probably not a lot of directors would have the balls to do that.
Yeah,
you know, because like this is a heady idea that we're going to do right here, and it's going to hit certain people in a right way, but it's also going to make other people go, why is that girl twerking? Like the people who talk to me, the people who
followed the heartbeat of the song.
And the funny thing is, one of the people who said it to me is somebody who like is a pretty well-known film critic online.
Oh, okay.
And they didn't get it, and I was like, well, am I like?
Oh no.
And I didn't go into it with the idea that I'm going to be the other voice to that.
Yeah, because also I knew nothing about this movie going into it. I've been seeing the name pop up here and there. I think at some point I heard it was a vampire movie before you told me, but that I was like, oh, neat. And then I didn't follow that thread at all. So then when you're like, let's go see Sinners, I was like, okay, I know nothing about it. Let's go. And then so I knew nothing about that scene. And it was, oh my god,
captivating.
Like, I was actually mesmerized.
Yes,
I was like, this is. I think I realized afterwards because at the beginning of the scene I picked up my drink and then like I didn't drink out of it and then I was still holding it at the end and I was just like.
Just because even like when they come around and there's that dude wearing the mask with the thing, and I was just like, oh my god, this is amazing. And it just lingers on him long enough because you can tell with it being one shot that they had to have the choreography work a specific way. God, and I was like, forget the. Oh
yeah, it was all one shot too. It was.
I'm like, forget the general aesthetic of what is going on and all that kind of stuff. The cinematography of that is crazy. Like all the things that have to go right for that to work out. No, this is an extremely impressive movie. I don't think I've seen a good vampire movie in a while. Okay. It's hard to... Vampires are hard. You know, it's one of those things that, like, you get it or you don't get it. And because you said the tropes, like the, you know, letting them in, even little things as far as, like, you know, the scene with the garlic.
Oh my god, yeah.
You know?
Because, so after they find the guy that just got his face slashed and, like, passed out in the pool of wine.
Yeah.
They're like, alright, so one of them, like, we're one of them. Who is it? And, like... I know at least my first thought was Smoke because you know maybe he got bit by a stagger when Cornbread went for his arm. Like okay.
That scene was awesome too.
Yeah,
that was extremely well done.
But so then they're going around and making everybody eat a clove of garlic, and
which is like the scene in The Thing with the blood test.
Yep, and they have this like tense moment because Pearline, I think that's
she refuses. To eat
she
it.
doesn't want to eat it, and everyone's like guns. But yeah, she just doesn't like garlic.
Yeah.
And then Slim eats one and like has a moment, but he's like,
you thought he was gonna puke.
I did. I was like,
I watched you going like, and he's like, I'm alright.
Well, especially once he was like, I had too much to drink. I'm like, well, now he's definitely going. No, he's fine. But yeah, so you have that tension there, but yeah.
But in that way, it allowed the tension to build and then break with a joke.
Right.
But then it brings us back into it. Like it was never like we're gonna stop the movie for this.
Right.
You know. And that's kind of the issue that we've had with Marvel movies is they've kind of ruined where you're not allowed to have an emotional moment in movies anymore. Everything has to be undercut with a joke. But this one, it worked very organically.
Yeah. Like I said, all the jokes, none of them were like winking at the camera or anything. It was just like You know what? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fair. He has been drinking all day.
Mhm.
Everyone in this scene has called him a drunk at one
Yeah.
point in the movie.
Mhm.
Yeah, of course. If you're drunk off your ass, eating raw garlic is
Yeah.
not going to be pleasant. You know,
Couldn't get
like,
the pickled ones.
yeah. You know, so you're like, oh, of course.
Mhm.
Like, you know, this is funny, but in a human way, not in a movie.
Yeah, a
way.
huand way, and that's
Yeah.
the best way to say it. Yeah,
Mhm.
and even and then you get to the point where the preacher's son goes back.
Hey, Sammy.
Sammy goes back. He has he used the guitar to smash the vampire in the head, and he's got the silver plate in his head, and all the other vampires are feeling it.
Oh yeah, they're all grabbing their heads.
And that kind of allows for for him to get away. And then we return to back where we were in the beginning when he shows back up at the church, and his dad's like, let the guitar go, let the guitar go. And he doesn't let the guitar go, which is cool because he's tempted, but he makes his choice,
Right.
and his choice allows him to have a good life.
And it's also cool because he had already made that choice beforehand. And it shows, because before they realize that the people out there are vampires and all that, there's two scenes happening concurrently where it's Mary arguing with Stack, and right?
Yeah.
I can't remember which.
Yep.
And
Racist.
and no, it was Stack, 'cause that's their that's her whole thing. And yeah, so she's like, no, like you guys are gonna be. Oh yeah, because we didn't loop all the way back to that. That's the thought that went missing.
Go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, they're throwing all this money around and they got this thing together, and then they're realizing that they have everyone coming in, and not everyone has money because what they're being paid, and I mean obviously this reflects reality of the time. They're being paid in like credits that can just go back into. So like they're most like I don't know. They didn't specify how much, but like they had some real money that they were getting in some credits. So yeah, now Stack's like, what the fuck? We were supposed to be getting like real money, and
but again, he's like that man worked in the fields all day. Let him come in here and enjoy himself.
Exactly. But then now he's faced with like, well, shit, we don't have money because the money that we would be making is half in like fucking white people credits.
And that's the whole thing, and that's the idea that like again that they were going to come and take it from them regardless.
Exactly. And but that dilemma is what leads Mary to be like, look, they said they have money, I'll go see what we can get. And that's when but at the same time that conversation's happening, Sammy is talking to Smoke, and he's like, that Smoke's trying to convince him to just go back home and like follow in his father's footsteps or like fuck do that thing. But Sammy's like, no, I'm gonna go to Chicago. I'm going to play the blues. I could make good money with this. And Smoke's like, no, like he's like, I met a lot of musicians and none of them were ever happy. Yeah. And but so they're having that whole thing, and at one point Sammy's like, no, like here's the like I'm gonna do this, and if you want to stop me, like you're going to have to kill me right here.
And he pulls a gun on him. He's like, I'm a soldier. I follow orders.
But it's cool. So that happens before all the vampire shit, where he's like, no, I'm going to do this. This is what I need to do. Even with like his dad had just given him the whole speech of like the devil's gonna come for you if you keep playing music, and then. When the vampires first show up, Sammy's very much like, oh my god, I was like, my dad was right, the devil's here for me. And everyone's like, nah, they're just here, it's unrelated. But then later, when the Irish vampire comes in, he's like, oh hey, Sammy, I'm here for you, bud, what's up? So like, his worst fear with that was confirmed, that the devil and everyone he knew died because of his ability to perform music. So, but even after that whole ordeal, he sticks to that original I'm gonna play music or you're gonna kill me. Like that's it. Those are the options here. And he does. So he does. And we get that little post-credit scene of him going to Chicago,
which was cool because it's also the idea of it's the last temptation. He says, I could. Because he smells on him that he's gonna die soon. And he's like, you could stick around longer with us, And he's like, no,
I think I've
seen enough. So it's like in the end, he gets to go out on his terms, and they have that really. I just thought the ending scene was beautiful. He's like, do you ever think about that night? And he's like, well, before the sun went down, it was the best day of my entire life. And they're both like, it's the only time we ever felt free. And I was like, oh my god, yeah. And then it just like flashes back those scenes and stuff like that. I was like, this is so fucking well done. And there's again, that's why I think to see it again is there's just so much I'm not a religious person.
Same.
I know enough about religion and stuff like that to kind of get me through shorthand and stuff like that. But I just feel like there's a lot of shit that I probably missed in there that I could probably get more out of with another viewing and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, beautiful movie.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. It was nice to see an original movie making some money for once, because this past year, everything that's like an original concept has failed miserably.
Yeah.
And then,
to be fair, I am not seeing as much movie marketing as I used to.
Well, it's all going towards Minecraft.
Oh, yeah. But that's the other thing. I'm actually not even seeing a lot of, like, okay, like, for example, I'm on YouTube a lot, right? I don't see movie ads. I see, like, random shit.
I'm so tired of that fucking Dragon Princess ad.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I'm being advertised mobile games and shit.
Yeah.
Which, like, sure, was kind of always there, but, like, I used to actually see movie trailers before my YouTube videos or whatever.
Yeah, the last...
and I just don't. I can't remember the last time I've seen one.
I think the new I Know What You Did Last Summer trailer was on something I was watching earlier today.
I just watched that the other day.
Oh, okay.
No, not the... I watched the original.
Yeah. But I keep seeing those fucking trailers for that, like, the kid has vampire powers. It's like a little ad that plays before the thing, and the kid has vampire powers, and his mother told him never to tell people that he has vampire powers, but, like, he goes to, like, a superhero academy, and,
I have no idea
and there's, like, another ad where it's, like, a girl falls out of the sky, and she's a dragon princess.
Oh, that one does sound familiar. Maybe
and I'm just like, what the fuck is this?
But,
like,
yeah, like, I
get ads for, people who need to turn to the Lord to to stop being addicted to pornography.
Sure.
And I was like, fuck you, algorithm.
But, like...
I'm not addicted.
And I know I'm not saying anything new. This is like every time I talk, about how good practical effects are. I've heard other people being like, dude, I don't hear about movies anymore.
Yeah.
Because, like, things will come out, and it'll be like, the first thing I hear about said movie is... loses $2 million at the box office. And I'm like, well, no shit, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Unfortunately now, like, we can't, like, everything has to be memeable.
Yeah.
For it to, because
Which is probably why Minecraft's...
Yeah, because, well, again, because we've been... Irony has poisoned our culture. So, yeah, I mean, again, Minecraft wasn't bad for... I don't know anything about the game, but, like, Snow White was fucking terrible. And it wasn't so bad that, like, you could make fun of it. It was just so bland and uninteresting. And
it doesn't have to be bland or it doesn't have to be interesting because it's Snow White. Go watch it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, it loops back to the fact that everything original is, like, flopping except for this, thank God. I don't even know how this is doing well, and I'm happy for it. But, like, a lot of original stuff is flopping because it's like...
Mickey 17 failed. I thought that was great.
Yeah. Even if you... Because, like, okay, getting no movie advertisement whatsoever... Like, I still heard that Snow White came out, and I know the concept of Snow White, obviously. So, like, I guess I'll go see that. Like, I don't know what the other options are, So.
And then the other one that I saw, I think the last movie that I saw in the theater before that, if it's not something we get here, I tend to not go see it. Is I thought The Monkey was great.
Oh yeah,
Monkey was fantastic, but it didn't get any advertising.
Yeah, that was all. I heard how good it was on Twitter.
No, it was really fun. And Captain America came out, and that didn't make an impact on anything because every Marvel movie looks exactly the same now.
I actually didn't even know.
Oh yeah. Harrison Ford was General Ross, turns into the Red Hulk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the movie was like shot and reshot like 5 times, so like you can tell where it was reshot. No. So I don't know.
Yeah, this doing well is amazing.
Yeah,
I'm very happy to do that. This is so good.
I recommend you check it out if you're a fan of. There's so many things to like about it.
Yeah,
if you're just a fan of like
if you like
well-made films, but if you're a fan of the blues and jazz, if you're a fan of vampire movies, it's cool. I especially like Southern Gothic horror stories. There's something very interesting about that. But yes, that's our rambly review of Sinners.
We haven't done a rambly review.
I know we haven't, because I don't ever really have a chance to like. Yeah. When we did Minecraft, like I didn't have that much to talk about. I was like, okay, I didn't. Well, Lana, Dave, and I.
Gotcha.
They came and they got married, and then they came and saw the movie. And I was
like, man, that's what you guys are doing.
That's how you spend your honeymoon.
I think it's just been a minute since some movies like really hit me like this.
Yeah, they're really like I really liked The Monkey, but it was one of those like, that was fun, but I didn't have anybody to talk to about it. It was like I reviewed it by myself, sitting in the stairs. I saw it on a Sunday when nobody was around. Like, you know.
I probably could have been around.
No, you were doing something that day. Because I asked you to come up. I asked you to come up. I asked Jeanette to come up, and then the girl that I was hanging out with. But yeah, so nobody could. So I went and saw it by myself. And then you got Thunderbolts next week and stuff like that.
Okay, that looks good.
Yeah, I don't know. This is definitely gonna make
great.
my list.
This is really great.
As of right now, I think this is my favorite movie of the year. And that's not a high bar to cross this year. You know, when
like,
you would put something like The Monkey up there as well, just because it was like, I'm getting to that point now where I'm so uninterested in talking about movies because everything, I kind of know what I'm getting as soon as I walk in. And with this one, you know, I was like, oh, okay, it's going to be like From Dusk Till Dawn. But all the nuance of it is what hit me as to being the most interesting part of it. So, all right, that's our Rambly review, and we'll try to get some more of these done. I took the thing that we shot a couple months ago, and I'm putting that up this week as well. It was a Patreon exclusive for a while. Where people thought we weren't friends anymore. Buried the lead on that one. And then I obviously I took down the one stream that we did.
Yes.
But yeah, you know.
I
know.
No, it's okay. It's just because I like watching the live streams.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not the end of the world.
No, we'll do more. But yeah, all right. So that is. Should people go see this movie?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Go see it, you sinners. Bye.
Bye.